Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm joined here today by Representative Ken Upchurch. Ken, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's just get right into it. What have you been working on over the summer?
Well, we just got out of session in March during the regular short session this year, and then immediately went into planning for a special session on quasi-governmental entities pension program. And so we were inundated with information on that from the time we got out of session until we got through the special, and then started work on the interim. That started in June with interim committee meetings, going through potential pieces of legislation. Committees are hearing those, as we speak. We're going through that process now and will until December. We have, obviously, being chairman of transportation, looking at our road projects across the state, working on that road plan to get it to where we need it with the funding that we have available to us, and making sure that it's something that we can get done over a 2-year period. Used to, we in past administrations and before we took the majority, they would have road projects, and you've heard the 6-year road plan, but it took 60 years to get it built, and so it was always over-programmed.
Yeah, 92 is a great example. It was always included on that plan, but never
any funding for it. And so finally we got it moved to the front burner. And so what has happened is, over the course, we would have 180 to 250% programming on the road budget and only have money to do 100%. So what we've tried to do is pare that down. And I think this last road plan that we passed in 2018, which was actually our first road plan since we became the majority, was we got it down to about 110%. You want some over-programming so that if something doesn't work out on one project, then you just move right in to the next one. And so that's what we're trying to do, is have a realistic road plan, so that if the road plan, or if there's a road that's in the 6-year road plan, then you can rest assured that within that period of time that we've started construction on it. And that's what we wanted to do to make it more realistic. And so looking at different projects here in McCreary, obviously finishing up on Highway 92 between Pine Knot and Williamsburg is a big project. And then looking at some other projects that will be beneficial to the community. Last year I talked to the ladies at the Head Start. That project there, trying to turn in as you're coming into the 4-lane, I guess. And it's dangerous for buses and things of that nature coming in. So transportation is looking at coming from the Whitley City Elementary School, widening that out all the way, catching up to the 4-lane, existing 4-lane, or that section of wider section of highway. And so that's going to be a project that we're working on getting put in the 2020 road plan. And then something that I was put in the road plan in 2018 was Highway 92. Did some design work for spot improvements and stuff, but my overall goal with 92 between Stearns and Monticello is to provide some straightening of the curves, softening curves, widening it out in some places, putting some shoulders, guardrail, things of that nature that makes that road much safer. We're getting a lot of traffic off of 75 that is, they're taking the shortcut to Monticello. They think it's a shortcut till they get on it because their GPS tells them this is the best route. And so they're kind of white knuckling it coming across the Emicraw there. So what we want to do is try to straighten that up a little bit, make it safer, so that truck traffic, especially as they come from 75 into Stearns and then Stearns on over to Monticello, it's a safer route for them. And then the overall goal is to make that a scenic route.
And it is already, it's already very
It's
scenic, but now you can designate
Right.
it as a scenic.
It's a beautiful area. You've got all the, the potential for the overlooks. You've got the Daniel Boone National Forest. You have Yamacraw, Cumberland River, the Big South Fork of Cumberland River down through there. You've got so many different tourist destinations, or many destinations, that could be utilized to bring tourism into McCreary County. So we need to improve that road and then get it put on a system as a scenic route, so that people coming up now 75, they say, as the tourists that just, believe it or not, people get in their vehicles with no destination in mind. They just get the road map out and start looking. So as they see this, they will, want to come this direction. So it brings them into, this area, Yahoo Falls. You've got Stearns Railway, Big South Fork, Cumberland River, and then as we straighten it up or do some improvements on over towards Monticello, there is some scenic views they're just as beautiful as what you see in the Smokies. And so try to have a roadside park or two where people can pull off and have some scenic views. And so that's kind of what we have in mind with that. It's going to be, it's a 10-year project. It will never be what you see between Pine Knot and Williamsburg. But at least we can do some things to it that make it safer and do things that will make it to where more people will want to travel that and make it the destination, more of a destination spot. And then that brings tourism, into McCreary County off of 75, and then on over into Wayne County with the Lake Cumberland. We've got the museum, you've got the Mill Springs Battlefield now, that's in the National Park system, the mill. And so it's something that I think will benefit the entire region. And so that's our overall goal with that, with 92. And then there's a lot of other, projects, smaller projects that we'll be working on along the way. But those are two of the major ones. We're finishing up 92 and then begin some design work, spot improvements on 92 between here and Monticello, and then, doing some things on Highway 27 that makes it safer.
You spoke at the Chamber of Commerce luncheon this afternoon. Another thing you were talking about, and you're very, very focused on, is the new Real ID project. We've only, Kentucky is behind a lot of states, and we've only got until pretty much a year from now to get that installed. What's your take on that?
Well, the enhanced ID is it's federally mandated that we have this in place in Kentucky. A lot of other states are implementing it already. Kentucky has just started, well, it's not like we've just started, but it's been kind of ongoing, but we've done some pilot projects. And so we're working on getting the computer system down to where, when you go in to get your driver's license, it flows correctly. In order to get on a domestic commercial flight, you will have to have this enhanced ID, driver's license, to get onto a military base, get into a federal courthouse, unless it's for jury duty. They said that if you get called federal jury duty, you can get in without it. But those are three things that will be required, that will require you to have this enhanced ID. The problem is getting it implemented. And so it's going to be an 8-year driver's license. I have the certification, the star on it. And you can still get just a standard driver's license if you don't, if you're not planning on flying, you're not planning on going to a military base or,
nuclear plant.
any kind of federal facility that would require that. You don't have to have it. But we've got a lot of folks that travel on vacation and things of that nature. And so the problem is if we do not get this implemented by October 2020, and we've had extensions, and so we've got to get it done by 2020, is that you get somebody that's planning a vacation to Florida or something, they're going to fly and they can't get on the airplane, we've got a problem.
Yeah, and you know, and it's more than, it's really, you're replacing one driver's license with another.
Right.
But it's not as simple as
It's not
just
as
that.
simple as that. You're gonna have to provide your, a copy of your birth certificate, a couple other forms of ID, a bill from, you know, your electric company, your water company, you know, something. So there's some documentation that you're gonna have to provide, and then you're actually not gonna get your driver's license at that particular time. It's gotta go through Homeland Security, they gotta do the background checks and make sure you're not a terrorist and all that. And then, your driver's license then will be mailed to you. And so it's a little bit different, process than what we're used to. And so we will get that process down to where it's as less, least cumbersome on folks as we possibly can. And then eventually, well, it's going to be an 8-year driver's license. Now we have a 6-year driver's license, I believe.
Mhm.
And so it's going to be an 8-year. The cost will be a little bit more, but it's less than what you would have to pay for two times a new driver's license. And so I think people will like it better. But then at the end of the day, you're going to be able to get your driver's license through an app on your cell phone. That is the overall goal. And so I think as we move toward this, anytime you have to do something a little bit different, people get a little bit antsy about it. So it's something that we have to do. It's federally mandated, and you know, we as at the state level, you know, we were handed this, and we've got to make it lemonade out of lemons.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to make that as less cumbersome on people as possible.
You mentioned, of course, we're coming off a short session this spring, and we've got the election coming up, and then really pretty much right after that, you know, after the election, you've got your long session.
Mm-hmm.
What's the outlook for the session for next year?
Well, obviously, it's a budget year. We have, especially in the last budget year, we did some things with some tax reform, I think, that has put Kentucky on a better path. I've said before that our overall goal is to eliminate the state income tax and go to a consumption-based or sales tax-based budgeting model. I'm not sure what we will do this session, if anything. We want to give time to what we did in 2018 to work, you know, at least a budget or two, so that we can make sure what we did was correct. You can't do tax reform, it's got to be incremental.
Yeah.
You can't just go in and do it all at the same time. Kansas tried that, and it was a disaster. So we've learned from their mistakes, and so we've tried implementing some smaller measures that makes Kentucky more business friendly, and then try to utilize that to make you know, our budget easier. And so we're still working through that.
And always, you know, one thing that you guys have been working really hard on the past couple of years is still the pension. I mean, that's still a main concern. What's coming up for that?
Well, we are still waiting on some recommendations from the pension working group. Of course, we went through, did the quasi-governmental agency pension fix this last time. And, you know, we would like to, we wish the problem would just go away. That would be the simplest thing. And unfortunately, in past administrations and past legislatures, that was controlled by the other party. They thought it would go away. Or they just, it was the old adage, kick the can down the road. Well, we're at the end of the road now. And so what we've done since Governor Bevin has been governor and we've been in the legislature as the new majority is we have fully funded for the first time in over a decade the pensions. And so that has helped as to whether or not it gets out of the hole to the point where we feel comfortable with it. The jury's still out.
Yeah, but you're not digging the hole any deeper.
We're not digging the hole any deeper, and that's the important part. You know, when you go 8 years with, you know, putting in half of the funding that's required, that digs a hole. And, you know, that wasn't, you know, I was there during that period of time and knew it was going on, and we all said, you know, this is not right, but, you know, not being in the majority and in control of the House, not much you can do about it, so. But since we've gained control, that is a priority to fund the pensions, you know, keep the promise of a pension that was given to those employees when they started that system.
Great. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about today?
Well, I appreciate you having me in today. It's always a pleasure coming to McCreary County. This is the time, my favorite time of year. We're getting close to my favorite time of year, the fall, leaves changing, and so you get to see some of the beauty that McCreary County has to offer, and especially the Lake Cumberland area. But I appreciate your time and friendship.
As always. It's great. And ladies and gentlemen, this has been Ken Upchurch. He's our representative for the 52nd District, representing Wayne, McCreary, and parts of Pulaski County. Ken, thank you so much.
Thank you.